Hey guys. All right, so I wanted to give you kind of a detailed video about all the maintenance stuff. When I bought this car from CNC in January of 2021, I was driving it home from Los Angeles to Northern California near Sacramento. Now, on the way home, it was shifting in and out of gear, kind of weird. It was popping out of sixth gear, flashing into neutral. And I was like, man, I don't think it's supposed to do this. Anyway, long story short, I took it to a mechanic here in Sacramento, and he was diagnosing it, and there was a few sensors that were out. There were a few things that just weren't tightened all the way. There's a big oil leak. I guess when CNC was working on it, they didn't tighten something, and it was leaking oil all over my freaking garage. Anyways, fast forward till now, CNC had it for the last 2 months, and they were going to replace the heat exchanger and test out the transmission, flush the gearbox, make sure that it's shifting properly, and I can say for sure the heat exchanger was replaced. Everything else, not so much. I know they did flush the gearbox, but it is still being really weird, and I think that the ECU, the computer unit, needs to be either replaced or flashed. The transmission definitely needs to be relearned, because what I'm doing is, as I'm accelerating from first to second gear, it'll go into neutral in between those two, which is super unsafe. And sometimes if I'm going like from third to second, or downshifting or upshifting, it'll pop into neutral. So if I'm going from like fourth to third, neutral, and then I have to like quickly find like, okay, where's that gear? And people are honking at me. It's super embarrassing. So that's what's happening. I can live with that until I can get the title and registration squared away. I don't really want to get the car fixed yet, because if something weird happens and I pay all this money to get it fixed, and then all of a sudden like the government takes it away or something weird, I don't want to be out even more. So I'm waiting until it's officially all copacetic with the state of California. It's under my name officially. I want to make sure that the other owner was paid for this car through CNC, because I gave them my money. Therefore, they're supposed to give that owner the money. This was a consignment vehicle. It's been 3 days, and I was just, I knew that it had some shifting issues, but all I wanted to do was just take it to work one day, just one day, and not have any issues. And so I did, and then I was gonna pick my daughter up from school in it. This was her first day back since the whole pandemic thing. We've been on lockdown here in California, especially in Northern California, and the kids haven't been to school for a very long time. So I was so excited to pick her up in this thing. And get this, I'm driving and I hear this like, and it sounded kind of like a belt or something, but it was really difficult to tell because, keep in mind, the engine is like right behind my head. Man, that sounds kind of weird. And then boom. And I look in my rear view mirror, or not my side mirror, and all of a sudden I see all these sparks coming out. I'm dead serious. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening? And so I like slowly pulled to the side of the road, and I noticed that all of my lug nuts are gone. And I'm like, what? And keep in mind, Clay from CNC, he wanted to make sure that I was safe on my travels home and put in a new battery for me, supposedly. The battery died, by the way, yesterday. They didn't tighten the driver's side rear wheel, and all the lug nuts just shot out into the street. So the car came crashing down on my brake caliper and the emergency brake, and it's gouging into the rim, and sparks are flying everywhere, and I'm beside myself. So I call my insurance company. Keep in mind, I paid in full for this entire policy. First I went through Geico, and they recommended me this collector car policy through the American Bankers Association of Florida or something like that. I called them and no one's in the office. I'm like, this is a Thursday morning. No one's in the office. It's like 11 a.m. And I can't even leave a message. I can't report a claim. I can't do anything. I'm like, well, this is total bull. And so I called Geico back, And they're like, oh, we're so sorry. And they actually really tried to make it right. So I'm not mad at Geico. And they're like, sir, even though this car isn't under this policy, we're gonna take care of you and send a tow truck out. I'm like, thank you. So they connect me with the tow truck company. And then they're like, oh, well, sorry, that's actually outside of our service range. Click. What? What do I do now? I've been arguing on the phone with like insurance companies and trying to figure things out back and forth for an hour. This car's on the side of the road. It's like clunked over on the brakes. And I'm just like beside myself. Why is this happening? I was like, you know, screw it. I don't need to go through insurance on this. This car is already costing me a grip. So I'm like, just call the tow truck company. I call this one called Ed & Sons. And they, I have to say, are top-notch service. They came out within 15 minutes. They felt bad for my situation. And they helped me find the lug nuts on the street. And then we jacked the car up and we put the wheel back on and I was able to drive home. So I'm actually still missing one lug nut, so I have to order that. I found one on eBay for about $35. But I just can't believe it. You know, all the BS that Clay's like, oh, we put the battery in because we want you to be safe on your journey home. However, we kind of forgot to tighten up the wheels. It wasn't just that wheel, it was all of them. And luckily, Ed & Sons Towing Company, they came out, they tightened everything for me. By the way, this is not a paid or a sponsorship or anything. I paid them $115 to do that. So anyways, that happened this week. So between all that, the shifting, what else? Oh, the radio was working when I bought it from CNC. It is no longer working. I don't know what's going on with it. The CD changer doesn't work. When I turn it on, it just says wait. So that's another thing. There was a vanity panel on the inside that wasn't installed. What else? I'm sure there's more. I don't want to pay to get this thing all serviced and then have it yanked away from me somehow. So what I'm gonna do is tomorrow morning, I'm gonna go to the DMV and get there at 6 a.m. so I can make sure I'm like one of the first people in line and start getting some answers. I don't care. I don't know what it takes or what it costs at this point. I need to figure out the registration, the title, because that's gonna cost me more than most repairs over the long term of my loan. So wish me luck. That's my update. That's that. I'm gonna keep you guys posted. I appreciate you all following my journey. This is not the type of YouTube videos I ever wanted to film with this car. This was a huge achievement for me, and now it's the biggest nightmare. I can't even sell it because it technically doesn't, you know, I don't have a title to give to someone. I'm really in a weird gray area with this. It's so confusing. So please, I don't know, continue watching, because if I could end up making some YouTube dollars out of this to help pay for this, awesome. The DMV investigator hasn't been very proactive in getting back to me. I don't know what's going on. I have a very limited amount of time to get things worked out. So just wish me luck, guys. Thanks.